What's going on, traders? Andrew O'Connell here with Pristine Capital. Welcome to your market recap video. It's October 31st of 2022. Happy Halloween, everyone. And it's also month end, so we're about to be in a brand new month of November. We're going to have brand new monthly value areas for our indices. Let's take a look at our S&P 500. We finished down 0.72% as measured by the SPY. Our NASDAQ QQQ finished down 1.16%. Our IWM small caps were the lone soldier, finishing out green up 0.09%. Our dogs of the Dow were down 0.35%. ARK Innovation ETF down 1.57%. And the TLT long bond ETF, it did finish down 0.71%. Pretty much all of these indices closed out somewhere around the middle end of their day's range. Volatility was mixed across the board. We had 48% advancers in the IWM small cap, so pretty much right down the middle there. And we had 42.1% of volume. The trend model remains at a +3 reading. So essentially, a lot of chop ahead of the Fed Wednesday meeting. In terms of post-market movers, what are we seeing on the earnings front? Well, Hologic is up 6.2% in the after hours after reporting earnings. Lattice Semiconductor also trading positive. I did take a look at these two earnings reports, and Hologic did not impress me at all. It was like, our revenues are down in every single category, but it's not so bad. So that's not really what I look for when I'm looking for like a power earnings gap setup, but it is good to see that stocks are responding to, I guess you could say, bad news in a good way. Today's economic data, the Chicago PMI came in at a 45.2 reading versus a consensus estimate of 47, and our Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index also came in pretty light. In terms of today's headlines, we did get a headline from Biden: profits from U.S. oil companies that do not invest will be taxed. This is one of those headlines where you just got to say, cry harder, President. You know, we're just in this situation with Russia and Ukraine and European energy crisis where there's essentially not enough energy to go around. And I think the energy companies themselves in the United States, they're sort of being scapegoated by the administration. Like, oh, it's your guys' fault that the energy prices are high. Why don't you just lower your prices? It's not really the way things work, but that is one of those headlines. It's really just amusement. Next one, U.S. Treasury expects to issue $550 billion in net marketable debt in October to December 2022 period, up from an August estimate of $400 billion. Main takeaway here is, if you're looking at the Treasury market from a pure supply and demand perspective, the supply of Treasuries is increasing in relation to the demand. So could this lead to some higher bond yields? It certainly could. And as soon as this headline came out, we did see a sell-off in the Treasury market. VIX Futures term structure is no longer inverted, which is good for now. Finviz Heat Map, look at this. We had a beautiful day on Friday, so you have to keep that in perspective. There's lots of traders that they look at every day in isolation as if they have the memory of a goldfish. And so they might be looking at this and saying like, oh my gosh, this is the worst day ever. But there were pretty gigantic gains across all of these stocks on Friday. Pretty noteworthy, Tesla actually showed some relative strength versus its mega cap tech peers after that Twitter and Elon Musk deal closed last Friday. But other than that, pretty much just some give back of Friday's gains. Those Friday's gains were pretty big, so not really reading a whole lot into this. Sector map, Dirty Energy up 0.84%. That is the top group in terms of momentum. We also had a movement in cannabis stocks. There was another headline from Chuck Schumer, Chucky Chuck, saying that we might get some basically a deal on the cannabis reform and something could happen sooner rather than later. They've said this multiple times. Who knows if something actually happens or if it doesn't. But I do believe we're getting closer. This group definitely seems like if we get some sort of positive news, it could have a very significant move higher. So I did take a position in MSOS during today's session. Other groups, we had KWeb up a smidge. To be honest, it's very tough to divine anything from today's map because today was month end and there is month end and quarter end rebalancing that occurs, and that can cause some buying and losers, selling and winners, and it just kind of muddies the picture a little bit. especially when we have a Fed meeting coming up on Wednesday as well. It's very tough to divine any huge meaning from today's price action. Style factors, what did well? Small cap value was up 0.14%. The quality style factor was our biggest loser. It was down 0.93%. In terms of trades, we did add the MSOS common shares for $11.04. And this was the news catalyst about Chuck Schumer. We put a stop at 1060. I did attempt this trade once before, and it was on this huge green candle, and they got me. So I ended up stopping out of the position and just re-added that today. Options trades, we took the Apple December 16th 150 strike calls for $8.70. That was early in the morning as per our Pristine Capital weekend watch list that got sent out to members this past Sunday. We got the pullback to the weekly value area high. That was the exact level we were looking for. And what I try to do as much as possible, and this is something to definitely consider in your own trading, think about the trade that you want to put on in advance. Create all the decisions, create your entry point, your exit point, your target, your stop out point, the whole 9 yards. Set your alert, and then if you've made that decision, if this criteria is met, I'm going to go ahead and do XYZ action. As soon as that criteria gets met in real time, you should not have to actually think about the trade. You should just be able to put it on without a second notice. So that's what we did today. And so far we're up a couple bucks on this Apple position. To be honest, if we get any sort of bounce tomorrow ahead of Fed Wednesday, I'm likely going to take this one off just for a little scalp winner. So overall, not really much changes in terms of the portfolio. The MSOS trade is really just a starter. It is a 1-star position for me. Now let's take a look at the indices. Before we do that, I want to take a look at our dollar index. The dollar index did move higher today, and this is not what we want, right? For the most part, the pattern has been when the dollar is strong, equities are weak. So this is day 3 of green candles for the dollar. Is it the end of the world? No, but we don't want to see, as a result of the Fed meeting, the dollar just rip out and retest these prior highs. We want to see another lower high in the market. Now let's take a look at our 10-year treasuries. 10-year treasuries, they did sell off again on that news that there's going to be a higher level of bond issuance from the government. Who knows what they're spending that money on? I'm sure it's going to go to a great purpose. Who knows? Honestly, in terms of the politics, I try to be, I just look at it. I find it kind of funny. I try not to get involved in a tribe, but I just observe it really for the purposes of the market and how it intersects with that. 30-year treasuries, these are trading up a little bit in the after hours. These also had a bit of a sell-off today. Who knows? Maybe we had a nice little bounce here. Perhaps we make a higher low. That would be the ideal situation. Let's take a look at our equity indices. S&P 500. Down just a smidge, right? In the grand scheme, compared to the bullish run on Friday, is this really the end of the world? Absolutely not. It's really just some consolidation and honestly some price acceptance up at this about 38.80 level. That 5-day EMA, which is this green line right here, we were trading pretty far extended above it. And remember, the market always retests the 5-day EMA. That is not a bug in the market. When you get a pullback to that level, that's more of a feature. So it makes sense that we get some sort of pullback, some sort of consolidation. I would not mind if we had a similar tape tomorrow. And let's take a look at our NASDAQ. The NASDAQ has been doing a bit worse because the NASDAQ has Meta in it. And Meta has just been an absolute train wreck. Take a look here. Our NASDAQ pulled back down to this monthly value area low. But keep in mind, we're going to have a brand new monthly value area for November, and that's going to be lit up starting tomorrow. I'll be sure to send out all those levels to Pristine Capital members. I'll send you that via email. Russell 2000, this ended up putting in basically a doji candle, not bad at all. But you can see for all of these indices, make no mistake about it, we're a bit extended away from this 20-day simple moving average. So we have to understand, we're extended. That's all. If you get a sideways consolidation, that's not the worst thing in the world. Even if you get a pullback, that's not the worst thing in the world. Our Dow Jones, this has been the Cinderella story of a lifetime. Same deal, we really just consolidated after a huge day of gains on Friday. Now, heading into tomorrow, this is something we detailed in our weekend market analysis video. We have a binary event coming up on Wednesday. It's the Fed meeting. As of right now, the market is pricing in a high chance, about 80%, that we're going to get a 75 basis point rate hike. But really what it's all about is the future. What the Fed talks about in terms of future rate hikes, the balance sheet unwind, all of that good stuff. Am I going to be swinging for the fences tomorrow, the day ahead of Fed Wednesday? No, I'm certainly not. I think it's going to be a great day to really just take it easy and work on something related to your trading process that is not actually executing trades. Maybe if you're a fantastic scalper, maybe there's an opportunity here or there tomorrow. But I think tomorrow will be a great day to reduce the screen time a little bit. Same thing as what we did for today's session. With that said, have a great night, everyone. We will see you all tomorrow.